the problem is huge. It's humongous. We've only been able to scratch the tip of the iceberg.
Addiction is a disease that is chronic and relapsing. That means it stays for a long time and it keeps on coming back.
At the same time, we must give a testimony to show them where this road leads to. It leads to a very dark place.
Up to now, when it comes to statistics, in the city itself, there's more than 35,000 that we know of.
Hello viewers. June 26th is observed as International Day Against Substance Abuse. We usually observe the day by having all kinds of events and having discussions on what to do, how to do with those who get addicted to substances of all kinds. And here we are not going to speak only about drugs. We are also going to speak about alcohol, even the betel nut, the tobacco that we use almost ubiquitously. So to discuss what are the key issues that are challenging us as a society, we have with us Neil Jetli Khongwil. He is President, Meghalaya Users Forum. To my left is Dr. Sandy Aim, a well-known face, a pioneer for rehabilitation of substance abusers and alcoholics. He is the first to have had the foresight and concern to set up a full-fledged rehab center called Sun Care. We also have Ivan B. Dingdo, Deputy SP, City East Khasi Hills. He will be telling us the challenges that he faces, or he and his department face, from having to deal with substance abusers, but above all with the peddlers, and how difficult or how challenging is it for a law enforcer to deal with all these issues. So let me go to Neil first. Meghalaya, President Meghalaya Users Forum. Can you please explain what this forum does and when it was started and how you decided to start this forum?
Yeah, thank you, Kong, so much for that. Basically, this forum was in the works for a long time. So it was when I first came out of my personal addiction and came into recovery. So it has always been one of my callings, as I look at it, that I can found something that can help my fellow addicts come out of their addiction. So we were under a different name in 2017. So actually it was founded in 2017. So till now we have got around 1,500 members who are registered with us, and we basically take care of their legal health rights. So we advocate for them in various ways. If they are not getting proper treatment, which is free and fair, provided by the government of India, we go and advocate for them. We also work a lot with the Meghalaya Human Rights Commission, and we see that if there are any atrocities or any shaming that is done, that we take up those cases, and we get a lot of help for this from the police department as well.
Okay, so who basically funds this organization of yours?
The organization doesn't have any funder as of such. This was founded by me and Mr. Barry Karmalki. We are both co-founders of this organization, and we are both the ones who fund it.
Okay. But isn't that difficult to sustain?
Very much so, very much so.
One would have thought that NACO or the Meghalaya AIDS Control Society or one of these institutions would have funded something as noble as this.
Yeah, exactly. I would like to cite an example from Manipur. A lot of targeted interventions by the State AIDS Control Society are run by community-based organizations like us. But this is not the case in Meghalaya. So, what helps me sustain, I'm also working as a counselor in one such organization, Manba Foundation. So, I get a steady salary there, plus I get to cater to people who inject drugs. So it's, a 2-in-1 win-win situation. But having said that, Meghalaya AIDS Control Society has been helpful of late, and they have been, in close contact with me for various things, programs, awareness. If they need testimonies, our members are always ready to give it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Sandy, you have seen it all, you've done a lot, you've spoken a lot on this issue. What are the major challenges you face as somebody who provides a rehab center?
As Neil said just now, one of the challenges is money, obviously, because for people who need rehabilitation and care, some of them cannot afford it. And we feel bad whenever we have to turn away someone because they say that they don't have money. Even though we do have provision to provide for people without enough funds, we do take them in, but that is probably one of the main drawbacks that we suffer in our state of ours.
But what do you think is or are some of the few reasons that push people to drugs, to alcohol, to other substances as well?
You see, addiction is a disease. It's a brain disease. And 25% of students, by the time they leave school, would have tried some form of intoxicant or the other. Not everyone becomes an addict. It's just one or a few of them who become addicts. The reason why they become addicts is manifold. One of them is genetic, the other one is social, the other is the whatever stresses they face in life.
What about family problems?
No, it's a biopsychosocial problem. See, it's a mixture of everything.
Please explain that biopsychosocial.
See, you need to have a genetic predisposition for addiction. You need to have a certain genetic markers, as we say, that predisposes you to a situation where you become addicted to drugs. If you are in a situation where there's a lot of stress as you grow older, then obviously you will turn to drugs. If you don't feel that you're loved by your family, by your society, then you turn to drugs. You feel that it's the end of the world, that you don't have nothing else left in life, you turn to drugs. But it's not that people go to it primarily because of these problems. It's first, when you're young, you want to experiment.
Peer pressure?
To a certain extent, yeah. But I would say that it's the way we are biologically made. You see, maybe I'm taking a little more time.
Yes.
But our brains, our human brain, is what we call soft wired. It's not hardwired. If this common example that I always give is when you buy a computer, when you buy a phone, if you don't have the operating system, it will not work.
Okay.
So a child, when the child is born, the child has the hardware, but the software has to come in from outside. And if the software is corrupted, then obviously the child will become that.
That really explains a lot.
That's the biological. The social, all the rest of it comes in. Your family background, how you're being brought up, the bullying in school, peer pressure, all that.
Let me come to the law enforcer now, Ivan. I was doing some research and then I came across this write-up in September 2020, which says that chemicals from India help to make heroin in Myanmar, which in turn comes back to India. I think methamphetamine is one of them, and heroin. And India is a very robust chemical industry. It has far too many. In the Northeast, we seem to be having some fake chemical industries just so that we can, regularly transport all these things like acetic anhydride, ephedrine, pseudoephedrine, potassium permanganate, and other precursor chemicals, as they are called, which are used to make heroin from poppy. So, knowing the trade routes for drugs, what is the law enforcement agency doing to hike up the security along those routes? Do you sort of confer with your colleagues across states? Do you have a kind of a convergence mechanism? Because it is intrastate, interstate, and goes across the country and also goes through this country to the US. So, how tough are the challenges?
Yes. See, India is a country that is sandwiched between two zones. There's the Golden Crescent and the Golden Triangle. Uh, Golden Crescent comprises of countries like Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan. Drugs come from there, enter the country, reaches Mumbai, and from Mumbai it is sent to countries like the US, South Africa, Western countries. And to our to our side, northeastern side, we've got the Golden Triangle, uh, comprises of countries like Laos, Thailand, Myanmar. Drugs come in, enter the country through, let's face it, we've got a porous border. That is a known fact. And
You have that 1623 kilometers of unsecured border with Myanmar.
yes, yes, yes. So when it enters the country, it enters states like Manipur. From Manipur, it goes to Nagaland. Nagaland enters Assam, and from Assam, it eventually reaches Meghalaya. There are two routes. That's the first route. The second route is Manipur, Assam, that is Silchar, and then it enters Jaintia Hills, eventually makes its way to our city. Also, drugs that are brought into Meghalaya are also sent to Bangladesh. Um, we have we from the northeastern states, we work closely when it comes to fighting this menace.
What
Yes,
about cross border?
cross border, that we have other security agencies. To tell you the truth, we have other security agencies that look into this. But within, the northeastern state, we work closely. For us, because most of drugs come in, they come in from Assam, transit route. So the Chief Minister of Assam, the DGP of Assam, they're very concerned about this. And I think you've seen over the past few months, they've been doing a very good job when it comes to nabbing these peddlers. In our state as well, we have a very active Chief Minister. We have
In Assam, you have a hyperactive chief minister, and I think their method of dealing with the peddlers is a bit stiff. You have encounters, about 56 encounters in just 1 month. So, would you like that sort of policing in Meghalaya?
no, actually, I wouldn't like that for our state. I believe we have the NDPS Act. Uh, First and foremost, we need to work closely with the community. It is that I feel is the biggest challenge, reaching out to the community. Individuals who are drug addicts, individuals who are drug peddlers, also members of the community. So reaching out to them, their support, their involvement is a must.
But this has become a weak link, this police citizenship relationship. Earlier on, much was said about that, police public relations and how we can work together, because I can tell you that it's not possible for the police to do everything. This is a societal problem, and I think it requires a societal engagement. So, how robust is that societal engagement,
The engagement,
especially with the youth groups?
besides looking after the city, I am also the sector of the Molai, and a few of them have approached, whereby they've shown keen interest in setting up of various rehab centers.
Okay.
I've spoken to Nick here,
But
whereby
Neil,
about Neil, whereby he has mentioned a few rehab centers in Maulai. So accordingly,
is Maulai the trouble area today?
not
The
really
hub?
Maulai. I
No.
feel there are other hotspots.
Okay.
There are other hotspots. We've got Happy Valley. We've got Jalupara, Maulai, and then Jayao as well. So it's a problem. It's a problem that's not only affecting one family. That's not only affecting uh, one Shillong.
Or one ethnic group.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
it's I think it's quite equally divided. Huh?
So that is involvement of community. Like I've said, is a must. When it has improved, no doubt. It has improved, no doubt. We from the police department, we are on a weekly basis conducting awareness programs. We're reaching out to students because I feel at that age,
in the schools.
schools,
Okay. Okay.
because at that age they are most vulnerable. Like doctor have said, curiosity,
What is the age,
peer
by
pressure.
the way? May I ask all of you, what is the age at which you can begin to create awareness of substance abuse? Because yesterday we heard that class 4 is not good enough. I mean, it's too early. But just now Neil said that is the right age to create awareness on drugs
The
or
earlier
on
the better.
substances. Okay.
The earlier the better. Even preschool children, if they're given the right message at the right time, it helps. I'm not saying it'll stop it completely, but it'll help.
Okay.
But
But the messaging is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like doctor just mentioned, earlier the better. In that sense, you see, on a survey conducted by our forum recently, we found, statistics, like 99.9% of all those who are injecting drugs presently all started and are addicted to some form of nicotine. Okay, so that is a huge amount of percentage, and that shows that tobacco is the main gateway drug. And then from that, they shift to things like cannabis, marijuana. They can go to pills, they go to alcohol, or whatever it is. So, tobacco use has always been a part when we take history taking of that particular person, the teenager, whatever it may be. But now the trend that I am seeing that is very alarming is a lot of these young boys around age 11 and 12 are not hooked into smoking or any nicotine use, but they have started using drugs. So this has shown a shifting in the in the way that the intake of that habit forming behavior is taking place. It could be because of easy availability. It could be also what I personally
Are
feel.
children being used as carriers?
Yes,
Yes.
definitely they're being used as carriers. They fall under the radar of the police department naturally. Who's going to suspect a small child running around, from one bazaar to the other or crossing the road? It's always the elder boys who are, caught and okay, they look suspicious. This guy has got tattoos. He must be a drug user. This labeling. So I have gone through that, so I know what it's like. So it is totally shifted, and I must mention here that we have a huge rise amongst women and girls who are also using and injecting drugs presently. Yeah.
What about medical, pills and all that, like spasmoproxivon? Is that use going up or is it going down?
Spasmoproxivon, the trend of spasmo being used has gone down because first of all, the government of India has banned its production. So the one that is being produced is totally, fake, and the effect it has is not like the original. So they have chosen to go for some other tablets like nitro, what we call N, the street name N. So that is also a hallucinogen. Okay, it really makes them, numb. They start frothing at the mouth. Sometimes they become violent. And this drug I particularly wanted to mention because there is no known medication to treat this drug. So when they go through withdrawal, it is horrific. They can, have severe hallucination. They can become very violent. So, this mixing of these new drugs that are coming in is creating a bigger
But
problem.
why are these new drugs coming in, what is that particular drug used to treat which ailment? Is it an
Nitrosan,
antispasmodic?
no. Nitrosan or nitrazepam is a benzodiazepine. Um, this is where few terms have to be mentioned. One is use, one is misuse, one is abuse.
Okay.
You use a paracetamol because you have a headache. The doctor misuses the paracetamol to give somebody whom he knows doesn't have a headache. And the person using the paracetamol abuses it because he's taking 10 tablets instead of taking one. This is a very simple term that you.
Okay.
Now, nitrazepam, the nitrosan, as he's saying, is used usually to give people sleep.
Okay.
But the usual dose is half a tablet, one tablet, maximum two tablets. But boys consume up to 10, 20 tablets in one go. So
Gosh.
anything technically will qualify as a drug. Yeah. Because the technical term for a drug is any substance which, if taken internally, initiates a change in the human body. So anything would be a drug if you apply the term very, very strictly. Yeah.
But Ivan, it is very difficult to get statistics in Meghalaya. So, what would be the number of drug users? I'm sorry to use the word drug, it should be substance users of all kinds. And which is the most difficult to tackle?
Up to now, when it comes to statistics, in the city itself, there's more than 35,000 that we know of.
In the state?
No, in the city itself.
In the city?
In the city itself.
Okay.
So there's more than
35,000.
35,000. There's more than 35,000. Most of them are addicted to heroin. That's the street drug. That's the main drug that is creating havoc, and in the rural areas, not in when I talk about rural areas, I mean mainland India, raw opium and ganja, very much prevalent. They abuse it. In our state, rural areas, mostly it's ganja, widely available, easily available. We've got places like Tersan, we've got places like Nongspong. So no known secret. People know that. We from our department, we're trying our best, but at the end of the day, we will need the involvement of other departments as well. Customs, excise, even the magistrates themselves. So all that will play a big role in making our state drug free. It's difficult, no doubt it's difficult, but we have to try. We can.
So, what about help seeking behavior, Neil? I'll ask you and Dr. Sandy. Why is it that it takes very long before a person comes for help?
The term I personally like to use is when they hit rock bottom. It's when all the sources of income or the possibility of getting any form of drugs or any high is exhausted. That is the main reason with the kind of treatment that we are giving my clients. I see that there's the main reason that they come is because of financial loss of trust at home. So the family is not going to be supportive. No one is going to come and give them money anymore. They have got too many police cases, too many thefts have occurred, too many whatever crimes they have committed. So they see no way out, and they realize that they have reached that very dark and silent place where they have to be alone. That is rock bottom. So that is one reason they come. The another reason is like Ba Eben said, is when they are arrested, they always opt for that treatment so that they can get out on bail. So that is it's again a kind of a loophole. I look at it because many of the peddlers and dealers are also users, and the big dealers are also users. I know a lot of them. So the problem is they keep getting out because they are using, and they keep. I do not know because I did not get information from which doctors exactly they have got medical certificates, but they do get certificates which they present in court, stating that they have completed treatment, which is totally false. So the police do their job, arrest them, put them in, and these dealers come out. So because they have got money, they have got good advocates, so they know how to manipulate the judiciary. What happens with the users? They are the ones who rot in jail because they're caught with small quantity. They cannot afford a lawyer. They have no funding, no backing. They have to lie in district jail. So when these boys are put in district jail, I do a lot of counseling sessions in district jail also. So we do a lot of testing for hepatitis C, HIV, etc. So I have noticed that the population of the boys who use drugs is higher than the general population. So what is happening is they are teaching those other guys who are inside who have no clue about drugs. Maybe they're just alcoholic. They are giving them ideas. They are on some treatment and they give them that treatment medicine, which gives a person who's normal a high.
Oh,
So when they come out, I've actually had
Double
cases
whammy.
of guys, yeah, double whammy, who come out and come to me and say, Banil, I am now an addict. And I'm like, how did you? Last time I met you, you're an alcoholic. And they're like, no, like this happened in jail. So, misuse is happening.
No, but are the jail authorities aware of this?
Oh, yes. And now they are very strict on it. It's medically supervised. Any testing, any interaction, even the disposing of medicines is done physically in front of them. And they have to even show proof that they have swallowed it. No, no misuse. So, but previously that was happening a lot. So, what is happening? I just want to mention in other districts like West Khasi Hills, we have a huge population of drug users who are pouring in from there to seek treatment here because many of them don't get clean needle syringe in their districts. So sometimes what happens is pharmacies see this as an opportunity. So what a syringe for diabetes that is sold, insulin syringe sold for 10 rupees, they sell for 100. It's become a business. This I've been seeing is happening in Nongpo a lot, and I reside there. So this is a dangerous trend. It's alarming. Families know about it. They don't know what to do about it. That is the worst part, because even the civil hospitals in these districts are clueless about addiction.
So that means there's a gap there.
Huge
There's a gap even amongst the medical fraternity
Yes.
when it comes to understanding addiction, when it comes to understanding rehabilitation.
Obviously, most of the doctors during the medical training, they have only about 2 weeks of exposure to psychiatry. And most of the medical colleges in the whole of the country do not have facilities for detoxification, for rehab, for care of the drug addicts. So there's no exposure at that time, and when they come here and start working, they don't understand what is the problem. That is the main thing, that doctors themselves are not comfortable with people with substance abuse disorders.
Is
They
there
don't know.
is there a stigmatization?
There's a total stigmatization of people who with substance use disorders. There's absolute, let's say, neglect. There's a lot of stigma from the attached to the family also, which is why people take a long time to come for treatment, because the family feels that it'll reflect very badly on the family if they come forward for treatment. So there's a total denial of the problem, which leads to a delay in seeking help.
So we have institutions, so-called soul-saving institutions like the churches, other faith institutions. How are they involved in helping people like you, for instance, who are in this work?
So far, no one from any faith-based organization has reached out to the Meghalaya Users Forum to work on anything, be it awareness or whatever it may be. We have reached the departments that have reached out to us have been mostly government. I would like to give a shout out to Kripa. They have always been very, helpful, especially dealing with juveniles now. So, and of course, doctor, always there. So, I think what the need of the hour, I keep saying this, is, a government has to set up a free rehabilitation center. the majority of the, like Ba said, 35,000 addicts in Shillong, through what survey I conducted, we got around 20,000 plus of people who use drugs. I'm not counting alcohol. So the majority of them are all from below poverty line. A huge amount of them are homeless in places like Jalupara, Happy Valley, etc. This trend is spreading to places like Lumaba, is going right up to places like Millim. Okay, so they are not untouchable. People are not satisfied having only ganja. They want the good stuff, they want the harder stuff because the kick is better. Okay, so this, like doctor had mentioned, is a disease. So the disease always craves more. It's not going to be satisfied with just getting something less. So what happens is this huge gap is there of where poor people cannot afford going to rehab because who's going to fund them? So as long as that part of the problem is not solved, then the supply will keep coming in. We have to reduce the demand. If the demand is reduced, the supply will go down automatically. Who is going to sell their product if no one is going to buy it? We have to concentrate on new youngsters not getting into drugs. This should be the government's main goal as of now. And the rest who are already addicted, we should put them on treatment, get them to treatment facilities, linked to various NGOs who are taking care of for addiction, so that they can be taken care of, and also target those new potential users because dealers always look at the new generation.
No, I want to ask this question from all of you. You're saying that the government does not have a rehab center. But Meghalaya is also the only second state to have a comprehensive drug use policy.
Yeah.
So, do you have an opportunity to interface with government and to tell the government that this is what is needed?
Yeah, let doctor go first.
The reason for the drug policy having that, there is a statement there that says that the government will set up
Oh, will. Okay.
rehab centers, is because of interaction with people like him. We have been telling them to do that.
Okay.
Like doctor said, very rightly so, will. So it has to be seen. It is not taken place. It might
No,
take time.
see, the government will work if there is enough pressure.
Correct.
The government always looks for constituents, to put pressure on it. So one of the main constituents would be the police, because if the police push for this and they are an institution, if people like you join hands, Dr. Sandy, then only will the government do it. Otherwise, it has a policy which states some very noble ideas there, but at the end of the day, where is the implementation? Where are the funds going to come from? Where is the human resource going to come from? Yeah.
Very true. Very true. I feel the drug policy again is still in that stage where it's just on paper. It has not been implemented in any part at all. So again, that has to be seen. Like I said, if just going out there and giving awareness programs all over is not going to solve the issue. So until treatment institutions are in place, this problem is going to blow out of proportion.
So, yeah.
Sorry, can I say a
Yes.
few words? You said there has to be pressure
Yes.
on the government. The unfortunate thing is that our people are the silent majority.
When you say
If
our
our
people, who's our people?
people in Meghalaya,
Okay.
they keep quiet. The drug problem is there, alcohol problem is there, addiction is there. None of the ladies come up, the mothers, like the Naga mothers,
Yes.
none of the mothers. They worry, they laugh, they cry, they weep over the children, but they don't do anything.
See, this is where we have to come to the shnong, the role of the Dorbar shnong. If you, every Dorbar shnong has a Sankanthe, but I have seen some Darbars, actually taking a very non-committal stand when it comes to tackling this problem. The other day, I got a frantic call from somebody in Negrams saying that this person A is bleeding, is all kinds of things. So I communicated to that particular Dorbar Shnong, saying, I don't know why this person called me, so I'm calling you because apparently he's from your Shnong. Then the Shnong's response was, well, that guy is an addict and we've tried a lot, and his mother's also failed, his family has given up. So this family giving up on a person, on a a son or a daughter. Why does it happen?
See, some people say once an addict, always an addict. The medical reason for that is addiction is a disease that is chronic and relapsing. That means it stays for a long time and it keeps on coming back. Most parents, most families are able to tolerate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 relapses. But when it comes to 10, 11, 12, every month, every 2 weeks, every 6 months, the person relapses. After some time, they also get tired. And they're at the end of their money, let's say, treating that person, looking after him, providing food, providing everything for him. So, unless they hit rock bottom, as he said, the addict will not change. As long as there's somebody to sort of pull him out. So the problem there again comes back to that.
So we need to find a way forward, because what we're discussing now sounds very dismal, and I don't want us to get out of this discussion on that very dismal note. There has to be a ray of hope, and Neil himself is a ray of hope. So, what is the way forward, Ivan, from the
The
point of view of a law enforcer, but also from the point of view of somebody from the society?
I understand.
Yeah.
Like I've said earlier, awareness is key. That'll help. That'll help. School students, college students, doctor has mentioned, the sooner the better when it comes to awareness that it is supposed to be given. When I was younger, when we were in school, I did not get the opportunity to have such interactions, to sit in such awareness programs. Even when I was in college, did not get that. Now, students are having that. That I feel is a way forward. The next thing that we need is government rehab centers, need of the hour. 3 months, 2 months of rehab will not do. Proper, I mean, at least a year. Because,
Do you agree to that? At least a year?
I'll let him finish.
Okay.
yeah, because I've seen, like, we've had a discussion earlier. 3 months won't do. It will just not do it. Constant effort, constant care, constant support. That I feel is
Who is going to
solution.
give that constant care, constant support?
That will come from the family. That will come from the relatives. That will come from the society as a whole.
Isn't that expecting too much from the society?
No, I guess I don't think that is expecting too much. It is an illness, as doctor has said. Involvement of everyone is needed.
Yeah, what I think the way forward, the need of the hour for me would be, I would have to stress on treatment. When I talk about treatment, I don't only want to say rehabilitation center. A rehabilitation center, or even 10 of them, cannot house 20 to 30,000 people who are using drugs. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. So, I am not praising any political person. I have never been towards any political party as such. But I appreciate the Assam Chief Minister of listening to his advisors and taking and giving initiative to push for treatment centers in every PHC UHC. When I'm talking about treatment centers, the things like opioid substitution therapy, detoxification, things like
You mean
mental health
you mean
awareness.
every PHC will have one unit for
Yes,
that?
one unit to cater in every block, so to speak, because the amount of addicts in Assam is huge. Compared to us, it is like tenfold. So that is one approach, because we must remember it is not feasible for 20,000 addicts. Who is going to fund them staying in rehab for 2-3 years? Okay, no government is going to do that. Society doesn't have that kind of money, and these are boys and girls that are already looked down upon by society. They are considered pests. It's better they die. It's better they are not alive. What is the point of me? Why will I spend 1 rupee for their treatment? So, when the World Health Organization and National AIDS Control Organization is having this already in place, why doesn't the state government incorporate with the DHS and NACO to do what Assam is doing, or procure the medications on your own and set up such centers? This will take care of these boys who are the 20 to 30,000 who are still ill. And then speaking about the, what I said, the demand reduction, awareness is good. I feel testimony is even better. When you get people who are in recovery to go and give awareness, it makes a huge impact. And I've seen this because I've done it. I have had small kids come running behind me and tell me, my dad has a drinking problem. I don't want him to die. A kid in class 4 5, that reaction is there. Now if you just go and bombard, or any counselor from any civil hospital goes and shows picture of various types of drugs, we are putting ideas in the child's mind that, oh, you better go and look for this might make you high. So we have to give the testimony that how bad it could be and will be.
So packaging that message is, I think, very crucial.
Very crucial, very crucial. We must not make a blunder of teaching them about things they don't know about. At the same time, we must give a testimony to show them where this road leads to. It leads to a very dark place. That is the best deterrent. If, like he had mentioned, in school, if I had someone coming giving me that kind of testimony, I don't think I would have gotten into drugs.
But even today, I think we still don't have many schools that are creating this awareness.
We've tried in our own small way. We've tried to reach out to as many schools as possible.
Okay.
But the way forward, as I say, is for society to give up the hypocrisy. We are targeting poor drug addicts.
Yeah.
But we don't see myself smoking,
Yeah.
myself having a drink in front of my children, myself having kwai and duma, because these are also drugs.
And kwai and duma are quite normalized.
Yes, it's quite dumb.
Even cigarettes, for that matter.
Yeah. But even though cigarettes now have come down in respectability, but even then, if your son sees you drinking, if your son sees you smoking, if your daughter sees you eating kwai and tobacco, what is to stop her from doing that? And then the second thing is that
it makes the parent a bad role model.
Yes, there are no role models. There are no role models in society as I see it now. The second thing is that the National Mental Health Program has been in force since 1983.
Okay.
If it had been implemented properly in the country, all 600 districts would have it by now. But only 100 districts have it in the whole country. In Meghalaya, we have how many districts now? 11, 12, 13? It's implemented only in 3 districts.
And this is essentially a mental health problem.
Yes, and the district mental health program, as it is called now, gets funded from the central government. So there's no way we can say that there's no money. It means that you have to have a psychiatrist at every district headquarters.
How many do we have in Meghalaya? How many psychiatrists?
We have 17, 18, but most of them are here in Shillong. In the periphery, we have one in Joy, we have one in Tura, and that's about all. I think one more in Garo Hills, East Garo Hills.
So there's a gap there.
There is a total gap, yeah.
What about counselors? Because I think counselors have a major role to play.
Self-styled counselors are many.
Okay.
They don't have proper training. They say the wrong things. They lead people. This is why. Therefore, in the drug policy for Meghalaya, that is one thing we were able to say is that they should be properly accredited.
Yes.
Yeah.
They should have gone through their whole studies, no? Otherwise, how can you? And what do you think of church leaders as counselors?
No, wrong. Totally wrong. Totally wrong. Let me be the first to say that. Because if you remember, you won't remember, but 25 years ago, when the drug problem was very severe in Mizoram, a very senior delegation of pastors came and asked me, we pray for our boys, We fast with them and we sit with them for weeks together, but still they go back to drugs. Now we must understand one thing, since this is the theme for this year's World International Day Against Drugs, is to share facts and help others. This is one fact we will have to share, that treatment for substance abusers is threefold. Number one is medical, that you need to have detoxification, proper detoxification, otherwise it's life threatening.
Yeah.
The second is rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is only one part of the treatment. The third and most important is the follow-up, the aftercare. The aftercare is usually lifelong. Now, who does the aftercare? As he said, family, society, then comes the church. Faith-based organizations can do a lot if they welcome them back into the field. But our addicts, they always say that when I was an addict, nobody came from the church.
Well, we can go on, and the problem is huge. It's humongous. We've only been able to scratch the
Yes.
tip of the iceberg, but we can continue to have this conversation. In the meanwhile, I think it's also important that parents play a more proactive role. We've seen yesterday when parents were invited to a certain school to discuss this whole issue, to have a conversation on substance abuse, and so few parents responded. I don't understand why we have this inability to accept things at face value and to come forward and be of help to anybody who is in need of that help, because I think the meaning of society itself and the meaning of community itself is that we work together for certain goals, towards certain goals. We are going to have, on the 26th of June, there's going to be a lot of hullabaloo around substance abuse and its aftermath. But I wish and pray that as a society, we take our roles in whichever capacity we are more responsibly. My child may not be a substance abuser. That doesn't mean it precludes that I should not do anything. I should be available. All of us should be available as much as possible to help the next person, the next door neighbor, the people in the locality, the community. I think maybe there is some erosion of community in Khasi society, and maybe we need to build that bond once again. So on that note, thank you very much, viewers. And thank you, Dr. Sandy, thank you, Neil, and thank you, Ivan. Yes, you want to have the last word?
Yes, the last word being that for parents of addicts who are watching this program and who have given their all to support their child, don't feel disheartened. Addiction is a chronic, relapsing disease. It'll happen always. Please don't give up.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
On that note of hope.